What's going on, everybody? Chase with Daoust Hockey here today with Jason from Daoust Hockey at the legendary Maurice Arena here. We have your brand new line of legacy skates in front of us. But for those watching at home, who is Daoust Hockey and what is the legacy behind the name?
Well, Chase, quite honestly, most people in America would probably call it Daoust or Daoust. Our slogan is actually going to be "Say it your way." We don't care how you say it, just as long as you know what the company is and everything. But it's Daou, and essentially it's a revival of a legacy brand. We had guys in the pros back in the '70s that it was a major brand, and that's Gretzky, Maurice Richard. We're in his arena here, and guys like that, legends wearing this skate. And it dates back, the company dates back to 1891. I mean, there's a long history of Daoust hockey. And we're just bringing that back and, kind of reinventing the company.
So trying on the skates for the first time, it feels like there's a relationship of traditional comfort, but modern technologies. And we're really seeing that with the 701 here. So let's talk about the overall fit profile that you're really gonna see in all these models here. And let's dive right into that 701.
What we're calling it is the diamond fit, and that goes through the full line. So starting at our highest end at the 701, that is our lead dog for this coming year. And I like what you said with kind of the modernization. And that's what we're trying to do is we're bringing back some of the the look of, Denny Savard used to actually wear this skate. We're bringing that back. Daou was always known for comfort, and that's one thing that we're sticking with. We want to have a comfortable skate, and that's where that diamond fit comes into play. And, using the modernized materials where we have composite into all of our skates in some fashion, creating that traditional look, traditional feel, but then modernizing it so you have that comfort level.
So you mentioned composite in the 701. I'm testing the 501. I've even tried the 701. It's insanely comfortable, but this is really built for that high-end player because it feels a lot stiffer than what we see in the rest of the lineup here. So let's talk a little bit about materials and the heat formability too.
With the 701 to the 501, it's utilizing similar materials. We have composite where it's the 70-30 composite in the 701. And what that essentially is it's a utilization of different ionomers, resins, some carbon, some polymers. It all comes together to create that composite material. And the reason why we're utilizing this is for that heat moldability aspect. This is one of the most heat moldable skates. It's something that when you heat these up, it's so pliable that you can actually create your own heel lock in the back of the skate. And just from the comfort level, like you had said earlier, where these are super comfortable right out of the box, but once you heat them and they're so pliable that it just creates even more comfort to the skate.
You mentioned a lot of composite here, and then we have some dual density foams in the ankle pads, very similar like we talked off camera between the 701 and the 501.
Yep.
So just immediate out of the box comfort. But as you said, you've got to definitely bake these. Let's talk about the tongues too as we round out the 701.
On the 701, we do have a lace bite protector. So it's a 7mm felt tongue. And then you have a TPU cover essentially for helping with the lace bite, but it's still a flexible tongue. You still have that flexibility to it.
And then at least for comfort too, I mean, we talked about the ankle pads. I just want to touch about the liner too, because it is quite comfortable. Yep. What do we find in the 701 and the 501?
So it's an antibacterial that you do have where any moisture management aspects, we do have the ports in the bottom as well. So any of the moisture management is going to drop down into the skate. So keeps you comfortable while you're skating in the product as well. So you're not going to have that slippage. You do have grip from that. So trying to keep you as comfortable as possible. And that's what we're focused on.
It seems like a repeating pattern here. But as we move down to the boot, let's finish off with what I assume is a composite outsole and this new holder as well.
Correct. So on the 701, we do use a full carbon outsole. And then for the blades and holder, again, we're a legacy brand. We're bringing back the Perfecta name. We're bringing back SLM. So Perfecta in the holder in a quick change. And then we also have SLM carved steel. So the 701 is actually going to come in our carved dark, which is a black PVD steel. So that's where high performance in the steel, high performance in the holder, and then having that aspect in the boot. So we have a high performing all the way from your ankle all the way down into the blade.
And I like the Pro preferred height too on the steel for the 701. And the other thing I really enjoy about this line is there's so many different trickle down technologies that we find starting in the 701, moving down to the 501, which I have the black version here. So is there anything different that we see between the 501 and the 701? Because it sounded like we covered most of it.
Correct. So there are a lot of similarities that we have from the 701 to the 501, utilizing that similar material, but we change up the full makeup of the product. So it's not a 70-30, it's a 60-40. So we change that a little bit. So it does add a little bit of weight, but it's not, I mean, we're talking grams here. It's not where you're adding, you know, thousands and thousands of grams and having bricks on your feet. So it's a matter of we're still keeping that high performance aspect and creating something that, you know, is a little bit different price point, a little bit different performance, but it's still a very high performance aspect to it.
And it is still very suitable for high level hockey.
Very much so.
We're skating on unbaked skates today and they're incredibly comfortable. So I can only imagine what they feel like when they're broken in. Now, as we move down to the 401, similar in price and similar in look. So how would you maybe describe to someone watching this video at home the differences between the 501 and the 401?
So again, we change up the materials a little bit where this goes into a 50-50 composite material. Again, changing up the look. And that's one thing that you'll notice. We have the 501 white, 501 black. We're bringing back some accents, different looks, different feels. But again, this is still part of the Diamond Fit, still our legacy line of skates, and creating something that is at a good price point at a very high level of play. So again, a 50-50 composite. So it's just as we go, we change the materials just a little bit. So that way we change a price point, we change a little bit of the performance, but it's still very, very high performing.
Now, as we move to recreational and competitive play, that's where we see some flash come out of the box here. Let's talk about the 301. What type of players it built for, and what are a couple of those key specs that help promote that?
It's still a performance piece. So we're gonna have younger players that use this, you know, some beer league players that are looking for more of an affordable skate. It's still gonna perform for them. So I wouldn't put this into the realm of where like, oh, it's a beginner skate or anything like this. This is still a performance piece. But what we're essentially doing is adding a little bit more flash, like you had said, where we're gonna have an all white skate in the Daou. We're gonna have a black and white skate in the 301 OG. So both of these, it's the same makeup of skate, but again, like the 501 where we have a 501 white and a 501 black, we wanted to actually add a little bit more pizzazz to it and put the white to it. So Daou and then 301 OG.
And the OG, is that a nod to the past, or what does the OG stand for?
So
here?
we took a look at, you know, the past skates and what they looked like. And this is essentially a modernization. There was no skate that looked like this, definitely. But we found pictures of, you know, a 301 skate that looked just like this. And that's where it was like, all right, we're bringing back the white, we're bringing back that look, and we're gonna do some modernization design aspects to it, but still have that kind of white look to it, which, I mean, the white's making a return and we're doing it. Yeah. We're going all in on white, so.
Okay, so it's a nod to the past 301 with the graphics, and this, I mean, it goes for the Daou. In terms of construction though, you mentioned you still have composite in the boot itself, and then in terms of the liner, still heat formable, still well padded and everything there too?
Correct, yep. So the liner does change a little bit. It's more of a felt liner, but it's still moisture management, moisture wicking. We still have the ports in the bottom, so you still have that aspect of we're getting as much moisture out of it, but it's still with a focus of that comfortability, and it still has that Diamond Fit aspect. So the nice thing is if somebody wants to go into, you know, our lowest price point in a 201, try that out, and they're like, I want to go out, I want to spend the money and go to a 701, they can just say, okay, I was a 7.5 in the 201, I'm making the full leap to a 701 and I'm still in a 7.5, and it's going to feel exactly the same.
Perfect. And then finishing us off with the 301, let's talk about below the boot. What do we have going on there? It looks very similar to the 4, 5, and 7.
So again, we do have the Perfecta holder, SLM steel. It's gonna be the SLM carved steel. So it's essentially, it's a brushed stainless steel, and it's still a very high performing steel. So it's just a matter of how can we make a few adjustments to change the price a little bit here and there. But again, blades are still high performance, boots are still high performance, and comfortability is still the focus even in the 301.
And let's move on to the 201, because I'm sure comfort is still a focus for that new to hockey or that casual skater. This is just going to be a great piece to pick up and hit the ice with, right?
For sure, for sure. And you know, again, it's still a matter of, we do have some composites into that. So it's a 30-70 aspect where we had a 40-60 here. It's still utilizing a lot of the same fit details and everything, just bringing that down. The only difference that you'll see if we go into the holder and steel, this is actually a molded holder steel setup. So that honestly would probably be the biggest change that we go through from the whole line, is actually offering a molded holder and molded steel.
That's awesome. Well, I'm definitely rooting for the player getting into hockey. Try the 201 and you might find yourself up into the 701 like you alluded to.
Correct.
Well, Jason, thanks so much for having us out here, walking us through the very exciting new Legacy line. And for you at home that want to check out the entire run from Daou Hockey, make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.